Welcome to this short tutorial for Aware volunteers who are using the support line in the Aware Centre. I'm assuming that you've been able to log on to the PC in the Centre with the given username and password, and that you've actually logged onto Windows and you have a screen similar to this with a number of icons. One of the icons on the screen will say AwareDB, and this is the application I'm giving you some hints and training on today. So double click on the AwareDB and you will see a username and password screen, which you will enter the username and password given to you by your Aware staff member who's contacting you regarding the support line. This typically is a username. So I put in my username. I'm pressing the tab key to move between fields, and I enter my password and press the tab key again. Remember, the tab key is just above the caps lock key on the left hand side. Once I've logged into the system, I will see a main screen like this, which allows me to log a call that I've just made, see calls I've made, or just close down the system. Once you close down the system like that, you're out of the system and you're logged off. It's ready for the next volunteer. So logging in again. My main screen allows me to do two main options. One is to log a call, which is your main function in this database, and the second area is to see the calls that have been made today. So it's suggested that you use this application after or immediately after you've taken a call. It may not be practical, but generally if you can. Press the log a call button and you will see the main logging screen. So I've just taken a call from a man called James, who was in his early 50s, and he contacted me because he was feeling lonely and isolated, and what I want to do is record the information from that call. You obviously would have other written notes from the call, and let's see if we can record them. So the essential data will have specifics on the call that you would know, for example, the date of the call. So I put in the date of the call, so drop down box gives me a calendar, and I choose the date, which is today. The call was taken at 4:30, and the duration of the call in this case was 11 to 15 minutes. The call ID you do not need to concern yourself about. It's a unique number given to this call by the system when you save it. It's for reference, but it's automatically assigned. The two last pieces of essential information are: what was the type of communication? You have 5 options. If this person is calling directly on behalf of themselves, so they have you've taken a call from somebody who has directly got a problem or needs support, you would choose direct. Alternatively, if the person called on behalf of a friend called on say a family member or a friend called on behalf of somebody else, you would click indirect. Or, for example, if a professional person, such as a GP or another healthcare worker, called on behalf of somebody, you can choose that option too. It's possible you may receive silent or hang-up calls, which you would log here if you got no information or the person didn't speak. And finally, if it was a prank call, mark it as being a hoax. In this case, it was a direct call. And finally, the main concern from the list of concerns that are generally dealt with in Aware, I'm choosing that the person was feeling lonely or isolated. So I'm picking that from this list. That's the essential data done, and I could save the call now if I wished. moving to complete then the remaining areas appropriately and with factual information if you know it. Let's continue on. The content of the call is specified here in the nature of communication. The main two pieces of information are filled out for you. And were there any other issues mentioned during the call or touched upon? In this case here, the person was feeling down. So I can indicate that here as well as the main concern. And I could also specify any options. So anything I suggested, or like a service, or there was some service or something specific I suggested to the caller, I can record that information here. And finally, I can put a 1 to 2 sentence narrative, a very brief description of what the call was about. A narrative here, if it helps me, if it allows me to, or some other co-volunteers for going forward for future similar cases. You can record that here. So you have a maximum of 8 lines, but again, keep this short, maybe 1 or 2 sentences, if you want to record the essence of the call. The third section is the gender of the caller and the information about the caller. So, for example, this person was a male, early 50s. The caller location was from Dublin. Now, in this case, if it was an indirect caller, what was the relationship to the person? This is not an indirect caller, so I don't need to fill it out. How did the caller hear about Aware? They told me they heard about Aware from the internet. And finally, some tick boxes. Is the caller attending an Aware group? In this case, no. Was there an information pack requested? No. Is this a first-time caller? Yes. Is it a regular caller? No. And the caller's first name is James. James. Okay, so now we've recorded all the information from the call. It is possible that you do not know the age of the caller or the location, or where they heard about Aware. If you didn't get that information, you leave it out. Only put in the information that you know to be sure to be correct. Finally, the last section, your reflection on the call. Were you affected by the call in any way? If you weren't affected by the call, just give it a low mark. If you were affected by the call, maybe it's some issue that strikes a chord with you and you were affected by the call, indicate that by giving it a higher score. Subtly different, the question again being asked is, were you upset by the call? If you weren't upset by the call, again give it a low mark. But if you were genuinely upset by the call and it did affect you and it did upset you, give it a higher mark. And if you wish a carer to contact you, click the yes box down here. And this will alert a carer in Aware to give you support, even though you are giving support to callers that come in. So there's support available for you as you give support. And again, you can flag this here if you wish to, if that's the case. Finally, you can also flag a call. If, for example, you were concerned about the call anyway, you can alert your co-volunteers that I'm flagging this call because this person has rang 20 times, or this issue has been brought up and I want to draw attention to it. So if there's something you want to alert your co-volunteers to, you can flag a call here and you can put the information why you're flagging it in this area here. Similarly, if you are upset by a call and you want carer assistance, you can also indicate some more information there, so you can use this narrative for that reason. Okay, once you're done, press the save button and you will be asked for your login and password, so that nobody can save information unless it's you. So don't be worried about anybody else saving calls. Only you can save a call for yourself because you know your username and password. Hit the tab button and you'll get the save message. You'll be given the unique number. As you can see, it's filled out now. The call ID is filled out. It's 45161, and you can clear the form or close the whole application if you want to get back to the main screen. So I can clear the form, and I'm now back to logging the next call. After a few uses of this, you will find it very easy to fill this out quite quickly, and you will get used to using the system. Closing down the logging area, it brings me back to the main screen, which leads me to the final point, is to show you the calls diary. So if I click on the calls diary, you will see all the calls made today. And in particular, the call we just made is 45161. There's James. And if I double click on it, it brings me up the content of the call we just filled out. It's in view mode. You cannot change anything here. So don't be worried about changing stuff. You cannot save something here. It's in view mode. Okay. So I can also look at the previous other calls that were made during the day. And if I happen to notice a call that I made that was incorrect, so say for example, I found that actually, the guy was from Meath, he wasn't from Dublin at all. You can't change it, but once you know the ID of the call, you can alert your supervisor, say, hey, I saved a call last night, it was 45161, but the person was from Meath, not Dublin, could you change it for me? That's no problem. They'll be gladly able to do that for you. So if you've made a mistake, don't worry about it. You can't change it, but it can be easily changed once you alert it, once you know the ID. Press the close button to close down, and remember in the diary it's view only, so don't be worried about it. You can go around the diary. So for example, if I choose to go to the 1st of September, it shows me the calls from there. I can click and look at any of them if I wish. Okay, if I want to refer back for some reason. So that's the system. You can either log a call, which you generally will be doing, and you can view calls. Hit the close button to get me out of the system, and hit the X button, and I'm completely logged off. Any questions? You can contact the support staff for you and aware. And I wish you all the best with your volunteering and all your work on the support line.